that defines the name of this subject, that is programming paradigm. Now what is programming paradigm? So with the word programming paradigm, we mean to say programming paradigms are a way to classify programming languages based on their features. So this word classify is important. So what does programming paradigm means? There are multiple programming languages. Now we are categorizing them in different categories, or you can say classification of these programming languages in different categories on the basis of their features. So we are going to look into each language, we are going to look into the features of that programming language, and accordingly we will classify them in different categories. So this thing is nothing but your programming paradigm. That is the languages on the basis of their features, on the basis of their functionalities are divided into different categories. Now, when we will look into this classification of languages, broadly, there are two types of programming languages which we are going to study for the subject. The first one is imperative programming. Now, what is imperative programming? Imperative programming is one in which the programmer will tell the machine that how to change its states, or you can say imperative programming means the languages in which the programmer will be instructing the machine that how to reach to conclusion. So I must say the C language, like in the last semester you have studied C languages. When you wanted to check if a number is prime or not, you used to tell step by step everything that how the machine should work to check the given number is prime or not. That is imperative, in which the programmer is going to tell each step that how to reach towards the conclusion or how to get the expected output. That is your imperative programming language. So the C language that you have done comes under the imperative programming category. Now under imperative programming, again it is subdivided into procedural and object oriented programming languages. Now what is procedural programming language? Procedural is one on which we emphasize on the procedures, or you can say functions. So the in C language, what you have studied as functions, those are called as, you call it functions, you call it method, you call it procedures. So in procedural languages, our focus is more upon the functions inside which we are writing step by step what procedure is need to be followed. So the second thing under imperative is object oriented programming language. Now object oriented programming language is one in which we focus more upon the objects. What are objects? You can say if a person is going to bank and depositing the money, so money and that person are the objects. We will be looking into the example of object oriented in detail, because for this unit number 2, object oriented programming is one which we are going to study in detail. So for now, just know that there is something called as imperative programming language, in which the user tells step by step how to reach to the expected output. And within imperative, there are two subcategories, that is procedural and object oriented. Now the next type of languages are declarative. So what are declarative languages? Declarative is one in which we are just telling your machine what do we expect as the output. We do not tell how or which procedure or which steps you need to follow to reach to the output. We just tell what we want as the output of the program. That is declarative. For now, it might be sounding a bit weird to you people that if we are not telling the computer how to reach. Yeah, any doubts? Okay. So declarative is one in which we are not telling the steps that we need to follow. We're just telling what do we want as the final outcome. That is declarative. What is imperative? In which we are telling how to move towards getting the expected output. So in the subject, these are the two categories, that is imperative and declarative, which you are going to study for this semester. So if you want to define this in one word, we will say imperative tells how to get the output and declarative tells what to get as the output of the program. Now out of these two paradigm, for this unit, that is unit number 2, we are going to focus upon the imperative paradigm. Now as we have seen in the previous slide, imperative के अंदर भी there are procedural and object oriented. So for this unit, we are going to focus upon imperative subcategories, that is the object oriented programming language. Object oriented programming language we are going to study in the unit number 2. So before that, we'll discuss about the syllabus specifically for unit 2. So unit 2 talks about grouping of data and operations. So what is data? Data, you can say maybe your numbers, some quantity variables, all those things that you are having, and operations are your functions. So what operations we are going to apply on the data? So object oriented concepts rely on binding this data and the functions which we need to operate on that data together. Now the topics that we are going to study under object oriented programming is encapsulation, overloading, polymorphism, inheritance, initialization and finalization, and dynamic binding. So these are the topics which we are going to cover. Now before we start to cover this topic, I just want to tell you people that all these concepts are very important for you all, because all the advanced programming languages that you might have heard of, can you just quickly write in the chat what are the programming languages that you have heard of? So everybody must have heard of some or the other language. C language, everybody knows about C language. So other than C, are there some languages that you know about? So can you quickly write in the chat what are all the languages that you have heard of, all the programming languages? Okay, so I can see many people answering Python, Java, C++, 2P, C Sharp. Okay, Python, Swift, Java, HTML, CSS, Python, Java, C++, XML, PHP, Golang. Okay, so I can see many answers from here, but the common answers which are given by almost everyone is C++, Python and Java. So these are, I must say, are the most common answers that you have given here now, and these are the three languages which are quite famous right now into implementation, and there are many more languages, so these are some few only that we have listed. So I just want to tell that all three that most of you have written, that is C++, Java and Python, all these three are object oriented programming languages, and this unit tells about the basics of object oriented programming language. So the concepts that we are going to study in this unit, that is encapsulation, polymorphism, overloading, inheritance, etc., all these concepts you are going to re-study, or you're going to come across again and again in this semester as well as in future semesters. So this semester you have Java. In Java, again you're going to study these things only. So this is what you're going to study in Java. So in this semester only, that is Sem 3 May, you're going to study these concepts in two subjects. So Sem 3 May is in two subjects. You can imagine that in the future semesters also, these words are going to be referred again and again when you're talking about any object oriented programming language. So the nutshell of what I said is that please concentrate upon these topics and try to get most from this particular unit. These concepts are very important, as these are the base of your advanced programming languages, and these are really important from your future placement in interview point of view as well. Fine. So this is what unit 3 constitutes of. Next is self-learning topic. So self-learning topic is something that the teacher is not going to cover in the class, which you have to take efforts and try to learn yourself. In case of any difficulties, definitely we are always there to help you. So the self-learning topic is implementation of OOPS concept using preferably C++ and Java language. Fine. Now, the books that you're going to refer for this particular unit is ML Scott. ML Scott is the book which you can refer for the subject, I must say, पूरे subject के लिए, and especially for object-oriented programming, it is object-oriented programming in Java, and after that, one more object-oriented programming in Java, that is the Tata McGraw-Hill publication by Rajkumar Boya. So these are the languages. As you can see, there are complete books written on this unit, that is object-oriented programming concepts. So this itself tells that the concept is really important. So you can refer either of these books for this unit number 2. Okay. Now we'll come to like as we have discussed earlier, that we have imperative languages, we have declarative languages. Under imperative, we have procedural and object oriented. Now we'll try to understand what exactly is the difference between procedural and object oriented. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are two figures, one on the left, one on the right. In the left figure, if you can see the highlighted part are these arrows. That is the connection between this lady and you can say the bank. So this is highlighted, while on the right hand side, the highlighted part or the more focused part is this lady and the money. Okay, now we will talk separately about procedural and object oriented. We will focus upon the left image first. Now, this is procedural programming language in which we focus more upon the procedure, or you can say the function or the work that is going to be performed. We focus more upon the function. So in this particular diagram, the function or the work that is being performed are withdraw money, deposit money, transfer money. We have a customer, we have money. Now with these two things, what all work can be done? Either customer can withdraw money, or customer can deposit money, or maybe transfer money from one account to another. So in the procedural, when we are talking about procedural languages, we focus more upon the functionalities, that is procedure. Now the example of these procedural languages are your C, Basic, Pascal, COBOL, Fortran. So these are the some of the example, out of which C you already know. So if you're writing any C program, is it possible for you to write a C program without using any function? Can someone reply? Maybe in the chat, just write in the chat. What do you think? Is it possible for you to write a C program without using a function? Okay, so I can see replies from you people. So everyone is saying no, no, no. Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Like everybody knows who has done C language. If you are writing a program in C language, there should be at least one function. What is the name of that one function which should be there in C language? Yeah, you can unmute and answer. Say loudly. Main function, yeah. So you cannot write a C program without the main function. C is a type of procedural language. Now we will come towards the right hand side of the slide, that is our object oriented programming. So what happens in object oriented programming? Instead of focusing upon the work that is being performed, we focus more on the objects. So this is a customer, this is money. So we are going to focus more upon the customer, what she is doing and what is happening with money. We are going to focus more upon that. So in object oriented, it is more about customer, money, account, and these things are called as objects. Now the example of Object oriented, which we have already discussed, are C++, Java, Python, VB.NET, and there are many more languages. And these are the languages that you're going to study during your engineering program. So somehow all these languages are going to remind you of the concepts that you're going to study in this semester. Okay, guys.